This is Rausha TV show. So today's topic is
how to manage conflicts in communities. And we have a technocrat, and this technocrat will only introduce herself and then we will pick it from there.
My name is Joyce Wamai Kamau. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm also a peace practitioner.
Wow.
What I do, I train communities on analytical skills and critical skills of peace building. Communities that are fighting, they have not settled. That's what I do.
What is conflict itself?
Thank you, that's a good one. Conflict is a disagreement. It's as simple as that. It's an argument between parties that have very different incompatible goals, interests, values. It's just a disagreement. People are not agreeing at all.
Wow.
So we have things we call conflict prevention. Then we get to conflict management, then we get to conflict transformation, then we get to conflict resolution. Conflict being a natural thing, it's part of our life, so we can't actually live without it.
Yes.
You will be off without conflict. Yeah, so we need, it is here. We can either prevent it when you see the signs.
Yes.
People are not talking to each other, people are moving, parking, going. You can prevent it. Intervene, maybe dialogue, communicate. Then we come to management. Management is just limiting the negative aspects of conflict to increase the positive ones. So in management, what we are trying to do is containing, limiting the effects of conflict. Yeah. Then we go to transformation. Transformation, this is where the conflict has been so intense and people have suffered. So what we are trying to do is change from negative to positive. So these are relationships that have been damaged completely. So we are trying to transform something, and transformation is change. Yeah. Then we have resolution. Resolution is where we need a solution now. 1 + 1 is 2. Are we fighting? Are we not fighting? If you're not fighting, am I getting my justice? Am I not getting my justice? Someone was killed. Is someone arrested already? Is someone paying for it? Yes.
what types do we have types of conflict?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Because conflict is common in every sphere.
Yes.
So we have some aspects that we mention when you're talking about conflict.
Yes.
We have intra. Intra means within yourself.
yes.
So we have intrapersonal conflicts. Within yourself, you have so much going on. You
Yes.
have attitudes within yourself. You have perceptions about things. You have your background talking to you.
Yes.
So the identities really speak a lot
Yes.
in what you do and how you respond to things.
Yes.
Yes.
So that is what we call intrapersonal.
Intrapersonal.
Then we have interpersonal, between two people.
Inter.
Conflicts within, or rather among couples, among teammates. Intrapersonal, two people are concerned. Then we have intragroup, because we are part of something. As human, we are part of a family, we are part of a nation, we are part of a group. So within that group, there is always issues. If you're talking about women, within our women groups, we have issues. Within men groups, within our churches, we have issues. Yeah. Then we have intergroups, men against women. Parents against children, elders against youth, our leaders against the common mwananchi. So those are the types that we can talk about. But we can also bring in something we call, when you're talking about conflict transformation, we have 4 dimensions. There's the personal one, the one I was talking about, intra. Then we have the relational one, me and you. Then we have structural. We are always complaining our government, our CDF, the structure has an issue. So that's a conflict in itself. Then we have cultural. Culture is our way of life, how people dress, how people eat. So there is conflict with that. There are people that are just against how you dress, how you behave. Yeah, so that's a conflict in itself. So it depends with where you stand and how you see it. Yes.
What causes conflict?
And conflict is natural. It happens in every sphere, in your church, in your workplace, in your family. So there is a lot of the causes. And when I was given the description of conflict, I said it's a disagreement in the basis of your interests, your values, your goals. So the reason why we are fighting, what is it? Is it my goal? We have different goals. We are not agreeing. I want to go to Mombasa, you want to go to Kisumu. We will not agree. Yeah? Then we have things like conflict caused in families. There are things like finances, the infidelity, the emotional issues. We are talking about communication, which is the strongest, actually, the strongest cause of conflict.
Yes.
Because in all this, it's relating.
Yes.
We are relational beings. So if we don't agree, it means there is a breakdown in communication. So it depends with where you're standing. If you're talking about a country, the causes of conflict in a country, there is political incitement, there is corruption, yeah, there is the inflation.
Can you elaborate a little bit? How does conflict come into when there is finances issue and the infidelity part of it?
Okay.
Yes.
So, in a family setup, family is supposed to act as a system. You know the way we have a stomach, we have a head, we have a nose, we have, if you have a toothache, it affects your head, it affects your eyes. That is how a family should be.
Yes.
So in this family, there are different entities. There is a father, there is a mother, there is a kid. There is also a house help. There are also in-laws. There are also friends, relatives. So the conflict is inevitable. It is bound to happen. So the earlier you accept it, the better. But now the issue comes in when all our identities as a person, like this man, let's say the man of the house, is an identity in itself. Identity is your label. So you are a religious man, maybe you're a Kikuyu coming from a specific ethnic group, then you're a man going through man issues, then you're a Christian going through. So when you're having a conversation with your wife, your religious aspect is speaking to you. Your manhood is speaking to you. Your background is speaking to you. Your ethnic background is also speaking to you. You're talking to someone with the same thing. You come from different, you will not agree. Unless you take it so deliberately that I come from this side, we don't eat meat, I eat meat. So how are we coming to a balance? There are kids that are coming in. You come from a different ethnic community. I do. So how do we bring up these kids with one language? They will not know, me, I'm from daddy's side, so we don't do that. We are going to churches, our mosques, wherever you fellowship, yeah? These are different values brought on the table. We all have to comply to them.
Yes.
You see, there will be just a disagreement in all of them.
Very true.
So we actually need to get to a place where you actually separate yourself from all these identities. And you're like, okay, this is my family. So what is the greater good of my family? That is where, because now most of the time, finance, especially when finances comes in, and maybe the girl is earning more than the man, then issues start. Because, I am educated, I am a career woman, I have money, I can, then the society expects the man to bring to the table. But the circumstances right now don't allow that. So how are we going to work together? Because this is our home. If the hand is not working, it will actually suspend everything in the body. That is the way in the family conflict does. So it has to be deliberate that this is what we have in this family. How do we sort it? Because even the infidelity, there is something missing. There was some misunderstanding somewhere, people ignored. Because most of the time what we do in families, we avoid. We either allow the people that are maybe loud to have their way, people that seem to be doing well to have their way, but that's not the case. Because every part of that family has a say. As a family, we have our house helps. These are people that we don't even know their grandmothers, their cultures. We know nothing about them. Yet we trust them with our home. So how do we bring them in and they should complement with what we have? That can bring a conflict. We have in-laws. In-laws that always have a say in our houses. How do you balance that in the family? We have our churches. Yeah, we have our country. We have our cultures. It's a lot to take, but as families, I think it's our mandate, especially for the parents, to dictate how do you want it to be. And it's so unfortunate that when people get together, because we all start with dating, a relationship, then people decide, we can do this, then a family is born. But we are told it's just a false notion that when we come together and we love each other, there is no conflict. oh my God, can you wake up? This is
They
the
should
beginning.
smell
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that should be recognized. In fact, you should premeditate it and talk about it. And most of the families that have excelled are families that have sat down and said, by the way, in case your in-laws intervene in this, how do we? In case you lose your job, how do we go on from here? In case we want to take our kid to a certain school, how do we come to this decision together? Communication. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a hard nut to crack.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we need to crack it.
Oh yeah, you have to crack it.
Finances. You have just talked about finances, and to me, this you've stayed in the faculty for too long. That's what I believe. But now, how do you solve finances? Because at the end of it all, you have just elaborated what causes these financial issues in the family, what causes these infidelity issues in a family. Yes, but now, how do we counter-attack it? Let's say we have some money. Are you trying to say that we bring all what we have and then we do it equally? Or what are the mechanisms? Because someone right now is watching and is saying, Madam, elaborate further. Because you have talked about finances that can cause conflict. Maybe a woman is earning more than a man. Then how do we manage so that we don't enter into conflicts?
If you attract your kind, so before we even got into this, something I liked about you, and vice versa. Yeah, and it's the same way when you go to a hotel, you don't ask the hotel owner to tell you what to eat.
True.
You actually say what you want to eat.
Yes.
Because you know exactly what you want to eat.
Yes.
And you actually discuss. No, you have rice. No, our rice is not good today. Can you take ugali? Then, oh, yeah, I can. It's all about dialogue, negotiating, mediating, you know. The same with finances. I cannot tell you this is the actually marking scheme. Bring all the money to the table, we do this. It is very specific to specific situations. Sit down with your spouse.
Yes.
Agree what works for you. I cannot tell you to wear shoe number 8 and you're actually 7 because I'm 8. We need to agree. Do we have joint accounts? Do we have separate accounts?
Yes.
Do I pay the bills? Do you do everything? There's a saying.
Can separate bank account work in a family or a couple?
There are families that it's actually working very well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are families it cannot work. Yeah, but you need to sit down and agree on what works for you.
Yes.
Because what works for you cannot be working for me.
Very true.
Yeah, and the same thing, list down things. Because finances, it's too tricky. Because I'm a spendthrift. I see a shoe, I buy. At times I don't need to call my husband. By the way, there's a blue shoe here, I need it. Of course he will say no. But I'm thinking, on Sunday I'm wearing blue, I need this shoe. I buy it. But there is an arrangement we have in our house, a framework, where if I buy it, it will not affect any other thing we have.
The budget.
The budget,
Yes.
exactly. So we need to agree, how will it work for me? Because like for me, my husband is an accountant. Money cannot be dished out like that.
Yeah.
For me, if I have money, where are we going? I need to fund things. But when we come together, this is a home. It needs to run. So me and my spendthrift behavior and him with his management of the finances, we need to come somewhere and marry together for us to agree. Because there are times when I have, he doesn't have.
Yes.
And I need to cover that and pay the bill. There are times I don't have, he has, and the lights are off. We need to buy bundles. So we can't start waiting, oh no, because you are the one to pay the bundle, so we stay until you get no. It's all about communication.
Yes.
Communication will sort you out.
Yeah.
How do we manage the conflict at large, starting from the community?
Yeah. The same way, there are people who cook ugali with cold water,
Yes.
and we still have ugali.
Seriously?
Yes.
Cold water making
Cold water.
Oh my God.
There are people who use boiled water to cook ugali,
Like
and
me.
they will get ugali. Yeah. There is porridge that you're talking about.
Yes.
Cold water, hot water will get porridge.
No.
It is true.
That is, those foods for kids is called what? Cornflakes.
Cornflakes,
Cerelac.
Cerelac.
Yeah,
Okay.
the likes. You
Yes.
see the likes. Those ones are making ready-made.
But you see, she's pretty.
Okay,
Anyway.
I can guess.
So it's the same way with conflict. It has different ways of solving it.
Yes.
But we have major strategies that people use to manage conflict and even resolve it. We have something like accommodation. Accommodation is where we're having an issue. So I tell you, I'm giving you time. Take your time, deal with whatever you're dealing with. I will wait for you. We'll come and talk. Yeah, that is accommodating. And you can see conflict ending.
Yes.
Or just chilling down. Yeah, we have competitive or competition. There, especially this happens a lot in business, in our workplaces. We are all competing for that promotion. So we get somewhere and we're thinking, you know what, we'll never get promoted. So we might as well agree to disagree. Like, just stay in your lane, I stay in my lane, but we don't need to fight.
Very true.
That is competition. There is the avoidance. We are having conflict. Okay, it's never that serious. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I walk away. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not even interested in the relationship. And still, the conflict will end.
True.
Yeah? Then we have compromising, where we are two of us. Then I'm thinking, oh, by the way, you're going through so much. So I mean, I can lower my pride and talk to you. Yeah? So you have compromised something. Maybe your pride, yeah, maybe your money you had to pay to just go and meet him. Yeah, that is another way of dealing with it. But now all these depend on the status of that relationship, because we're not talking about conflict among animals.
Yes, it's true.
We're talking about people, human beings.
Very true.
So meaning there is a relationship. So if the relationship is important, you will want to compromise. You will want to accommodate. If it's not important, you'd want to just, I'm done. Avoidance.
Avoid.
Silent treatment. That is what we call it in layman's. You'd want to compete. You don't want to lose. And in communities, it's different because, as you said, people are fighting against land. People are fighting against boundary. People are fighting because they were incited. So the issues are at stake and they are very serious. So it's a lot of competition. But that is when they call people like Kofi Annan, the late, to come and just bring sense into us. We need to coexist. No one is relocating to Sudan. We are Kenyans. We are going to suffer with our corruption.
Like
so how do we move from how do we move from here? Because life has to go on.
Very true.
Rwanda, look at Rwanda. It's just on another level of development.
Very true.
If we didn't take that time to just sit and just listen to this man, I mean, we would have been destroyed.
Very true.
But people, so you know what, we have fought and it's not working. We need to try something else. Talk. Let's talk. And I remember the first time it was impossible, because when conflict happens, it's so intense. It messes with a lot of feelings and needs and all that. So it needs a process. And all these things we are saying, management, resolution, prevention, transformation, it's a process. It's not a one-day quick fix. It's, if all we need to do is just meet and say hi and we are done, that's okay.
So,
it's a process.
Joyce, for instance, now it's in the community, there's a conflict now between the cattle wrestlers.
Yeah.
You go there as an organization, you try to bring a resolution and all.
Yeah.
And then when you're back, then they go back again to the same issue.
They do a lot
so
of
what
that.
do you do?
They do a lot of that. Actually, what we do, we research first, because most of the time what you see is the triggers. They rioted, they burnt a house, someone's business was touched, so you assume that's the issue. Yet the issue was someone was killed, but they are not displaying that. So you need to research very well to know exactly what you're dealing with. And most of the time, the reason why that happens is because you didn't research very well.
Very true.
So you went to give them food, and their issue is not food. Their issue is just they need a platform, they need a forum to talk. And that is what happens with conflict-stricken societies. They need forums to talk. Even in our homes, families that break is because no one asked me exactly what is eating this family. No one gives us that opportunity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, our audience this morning, I'm telling you, it's very hot. I'm actually on fire.
Literally.
You go to areas where they talk diverse languages. you are bringing these communities to, like, let's say, for instance, I'm just giving an example.
Okay.
You don't know anything about Ndorobo or Lobo. Let's say, for instance. Or let's say, let me take you to Nigeria. The Fulani and the Hausa, they have conflict. And then you are going there. What kind of mechanism do you use? What kind of formula? I say, because you don't know the language there.
Yeah.
Do you get someone from the same area to help you, or you go in your own way? Because there are so many communities that actually have never gone to school, mainly to learn the English language and the Swahili language. So they just speak their own language. How do you go about such like communities? Yeah.
I will go back to my example of ugali. You can't cook ugali with a fork.
Yes.
You need a mwiko, you need a sufuria, you need flour. Good flour. Otherwise it will backfire. You need clean water. It's the same way with dealing with conflict. You need the right tools.
Yes.
And in such a situation, like now if you're called to Nigeria, most of the time you don't take yourself. Because conflict is in stages. Probably they are killing each other. You can't go into a battlefield and you're like, wait, we need to talk.
You'll get killed.
There has to be a ceasefire. And that's why we have other organizations and people just trained for that. The UN, to just keep it calm. Then we need people from the society, the opinion shapers, the religious leaders, women leaders, men leaders, people that command and influence in the area they are, to just forward the sentiments of the community. Because you know, in this community we have spoilers, we have thieves, we have people that don't care, we have businesses and businessmen that benefit from this fighting. So you need to incorporate all of them and have a sitting with them before settling things. So you just don't get in. It's the same way in the house when a man and a wife are fighting and throwing glasses. You just can't get in. You wait for things to calm down. Call people aside. What is it? Then bring them together. So it's a process. Yes.
When you get to a place and there is sexual abuse as a conflict, the cause of the conflict, how do you go about it?
That is intense because
maybe there was an incest. And there is a conflict.
That will be intense because that needs counseling. So even before you tell this person that has been raped maybe to forgive, they need to go through some counseling cycle because it's traumatic. And for you to even tell this father to this daughter that you need to forgive the perpetrator, it's not, you can't just forgive and forget. It's a process. So there needs to be a lot of counseling for that person to see, can I have mercy? Can I have empathy? Can I accommodate this person? Can I see this person as a human being? Because most of the time we forget the people that rape. Maybe this person was molested when they were young. So they are messed up. So the solution is not taking them to prison. The solution is taking them to a psychiatrist. And you'll find out these people were totally messed up when they are young. So, but that does not justify the act. So you really need to get out, the way I was saying, get out of the situation and don't react because of emotions. Just let's focus on the issue and the facts here. Are these people sane? This girl has been raped, she's pregnant, she's infected. How do I prepare her for now the new life that is ahead of her? That takes a lot of resources that you need to be willing to invest.
Please tell us your parting shot concerning
conflict management.
Okay, I would want us to
That's your camera?
I want us to just know two things about peace. There is negative peace and there is positive peace. Negative peace is when there is no violence. Hakuna kuchapana, hakuna kuwana. But that does not mean we are in talking terms. But positive peace is where we are willing to talk, to accommodate, to work on this relationship. And that is what we should be geared to as families, as a country, as groups, as workmates. As positive peace. Because negative is the type, we are here, but I have just reservations, like, I can't do you, but I can't take you out of this world. But let's be geared to positive peace. And conflict is good. Most of the time it's beneficial because it exposes things that need to be worked on. So it brings improvement. But how you respond to it matters a lot. You will either gain from it or lose from it.